Good evening if you're watching live. Welcome to episode 178 of About the Cards podcast. Live tonight on YouTube, as always, with host Stephen Loeffler at Junk Wax Twins.
Oh, hi.
Myself, Ben Wilson, at Our Trading Cards. We are a podcast by collectors for collectors. We hope to bring you a smart and insightful podcast discussing trading card collecting. All cards tell a story. What stories do your cards tell? We're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific.
10 Central.
That's right. On YouTube, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at About the Cards. We're available as a podcast everywhere you can find a podcast. And if we're not, please do let us know. Check out our website, aboutthecards.wordpress.com. A couple of quick announcements. We're still trying to add more members to our About the Cards buy, sell, trade group on the Facebook. If you're interested in joining, and please search for us. We do have two groups. We have just the regular old page and then the buy, sell, trade. Personal note, I know that the guys mentioned it last week in my absence. My novel that I've been sitting on my computer for about 5 years is now published. So you can find that on the Amazon.com. You search my name or The Prison of Your Past. Any support is awesome. So I really do appreciate that. It's pretty neat to be a self-published author. Couple of sad notes. In the world of baseball, we had a couple of deaths. Bill Verdon died on November 23rd at the age of 90. He played from 1955 to 1968 as a member of the Pirates mostly. A couple of one or two seasons at the beginning of his career with the Cardinals. He had a 19.6 WAR, 267 batting average, and 91 home runs. But he was also a manager with a career record of 995 and 921 from 1972 through 84. And he managed the Pirates, Yankees, Astros, and Expos. So,
with Barry Bonds giving a huge nod to him for his outfield work.
Interesting. Didn't see that. So yeah, he was 90. I know the Pirates paid a nice tribute to him. I'm sure they'll probably do something this season as well at the stadium. And then relief pitcher Doug Jones died the day before on the 22nd at the age of 64 due to complications from COVID. He played for 16 years from 1982 through 1998, appearing more than once for some of these teams, but he played for the Brewers, Indians, Astros, Phillies, Orioles, Cubs, and A's. Typical journeyman relief pitcher. 21.4 WAR, 69 and 79, something I didn't know. 303 career saves and 3.3 ERA. So he was a hell of a reliever. So
this was, I do believe, announced by via Twitter. Greg Swindell, ex-Indians pitcher, for some reason follows me. Don't understand. Ex-Twin too. But yeah, he made a post saying that fortunately his friend and former teammate had passed away, and family's in his thoughts.
As soon as I saw Jones had passed, you always feel, we invite these players into our homes, right? I mean, It's the way it is. Derek Thomas, I shed a tear. I was like, man, that one hit home. It's not like we know these people, but they're on our favorite teams and they play against our favorite teams and they're in our homes multiple times. We do feel like we have a connection. But then as card collectors, first thing when I saw Doug Jones, the 88 score, the orange card popped right into my mind. And I know a lot of people had the 91 Dream Team, where he had the baseball that was on fire.
Right.
So he had a couple of iconic cards, and so we not that I doubt anybody from Doug Jones or Bill Verdon's family are listening, but if they are, well wishes, condolences. It's always sad to lose, especially 64, still a very young age. So
yeah,
Verdon was 90. He lived a good life, hopefully, but. So after a couple of cancellations, as he would say, you literally ran out of guests. We have a special guest host tonight. We share a last name. We share a home. His name is Ric Wilson, and he is my dad. So welcome.
Do I have to admit that I'm your dad?
You don't. In fact, he's like, how do I do this whole thing? And I'm like, well, put Ric Wilson - Ben's dad. And he goes, no, I'm not going to do that. Apparently... Video proof.
I'm responsible for his good looks and his sense of humor but I'll stop there. Anything else, I'm not responsible for.
Oh, this is going to be a fun show. So yeah, if you have any questions for my dad while we have him on the line, you're welcome to ask him, and we will see if we can get them in.
So what you're saying is we have you to blame for Ben.
Okay, if you want to do it that way.
Got it.
I'll take the blame. Hey, I've known this guy for 42 years.
I'm sorry.
That's a long time dealing with Ben. So,
trust our listeners. They know.
Was he worse on the tantrums when he was a kid or now?
I'm going to have to not answer that one.
See, because the thing is, he lives here with me, and technically I'm his landlord. And, if he ever needs to go into old folks' home, he's got to be on his niceties tonight.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm going to refer to you as Rick for our listeners.
Okay, that's my name.
That's true. Tell us a little bit about your backstory as it pertains to card collecting. How did you get into trading cards?
How did I get into trading cards? Well, let's see. When I was born in 1953. So Tops hadn't been around very long when I was just a little guy, and grew up in the 50s and the 60s. So cards were not like they are today. They were you buy a stick of bubble gum, shove some cards in your pocket, look at them when you get home. If you didn't like them, you put them in your bicycle spokes. So card collecting was a lot different then, because it was like the gum is what we were buying, and the cards just kind of came along with it. Although it was a lot of fun. I do remember my first pack of cards, I think, were some football cards, just because that's what was available. And my dad liked football. So at that time, I was a little kid just learning to read. And I remember I got a guy named Y.A. Title. No, my dad says that's Tittle. Well, hey, that was the best I could do. But that's my first memory of sports cards. I remember kids at school had them in their pockets and would bring them and trade them at recess time. But I was never much into sports because I had a lot of physical injuries when I was growing up, and didn't get out to play as much with the kids. Street football and baseball over at the schoolyard. So I wasn't as active, and probably that would be why I never really got too interested in sports. So that's kind of my first experiences with cards were they made a good sound in the bicycle spokes. But later on, when I was about sixth grade, is when the Beatles came to America, and I had to have everything Beatles, and so I got hooked on Beatle cards. That was my first love for cards, but it wasn't because they were cards. It was because they were the Beatles. Everybody had to have them. So I started collecting some Beatle cards. I remember riding my bicycle up to the grocery store, 5 cents a pack, which was a lot of money back then. I mean, hey, if you had $1, you were rich. And I bought a lot of packs of Beatle cards, and I used to love to just set them all out on the floor and match them up. And the duplicates, I got 3 of this guy, and it was kind of fun to do that and put them in numerical order. And so that was my first real experience in buying cards, and that's probably why I have more of an interest in non-sports cards than sports cards.
So just a quick side note. I think I might have mentioned this years and years ago on the podcast. But your dad actually worked for the San Francisco 49ers, or had done some work. He was a retired CPA, and had actually had basketball games with some of the players back in the old days. Said that he had defended Y.A. Tittle on the basketball court quite a bit because Grandpa was taller, and so he had some personal connections with Y.A. And I asked him one time, I was like, "So, did you do good?" He goes, "No. Let's say I'm a CPA. He's a quarterback for the 49ers, very athletic. I'm a CPA. What do you think?" But so you were telling a story to me before the show started about a specific Beatle card or cards that you have. If you have those handy,
Yeah.
I'd love to hear that story now that everybody else can share.
Well, when I first started collecting cards, and they weren't as available as it was just like you go to the grocery store and whatever pocket change you had from your allowance, or turning in old Coke bottles and getting a few pennies for those, and you could buy a pack or two of cards. And they did 6 different sets of cards all within about a year. The first series, second series, and third series, which were all black and white cards. Then when the Hard Day's Night movie came out, they did a set of movie cards, they called them. And then I see on the screen there Beatle color photos. Ooh, that was pretty exciting to get Beatle cards in color. And they did 2 different color sets. One was called Beatles color cards, and the other was the Beatles diary, which had little things on the back, probably not written by the Beatles, but it had their fake little signatures at the bottom, and it was supposed to be something Paul or John or George or Ringo said. In collecting cards at that time, we stuck thumbtacks in them, scotch taped them on the wall. So condition was not something, we didn't have pocket sheets to put them in. We didn't care so much. It was just like, I like this card. I want to look at it. I hang it on the wall. Thumbtack right through his head. So the Beatle cards were my first real experience collecting cards. Which now the one story that really stands out in my mind, a friend of mine had told me about a kid that lived across the park from us. He has some Beatle cards. I said, "Oh, I wanted to get more Beatle cards," and he had. When I first started collecting, all they had in the store was 3rd series. He had 2nd series Beatle cards, and the one card that really stood out in the crowd was a picture of all 4 Beatles. And this is the card right here. And the cool thing about this card was, nice photo of the 4 of them together. An artist at that time had decided, hey, what would the Beatles look like if they had crew cuts? This is what they'd look like. Same card, but now their heads are shaved and they have crew cuts. So comparing the 2 cards, you can see it's the same photo, but the artist had at that time, I don't know how they went about doing things like that. Nowadays we can Photoshop anything and change the look of something, but these were the cards. They all had signatures on them, which of course were just facsimiles, just printed on the cards. But and the backs were very plain. They just said what card number and series it was, just a white back. They also came with gray backs, but at that time we didn't care. We just wanted the cards because they were cool. So of all the cards in my collection, these are 2 of my favorites because they kind of go together, both from the 2nd series. Now, getting this card, when I first saw it, my friend had it. I wanted this card, and I would do anything to get this card. I ended up paying about $2 for this card, which at that time was 2 or 3 weeks allowance. We had, that was a whole lot of money. I mean, $2 could buy 40 candy bars at a nickel a candy bar, or 40 packs of cards, and I had to have this card. So that's probably my favorite Beatle card and one of my favorite stories about collecting cards. Unfortunately, the one I just showed you is not the card I had that I paid $2 for. I sold all those cards at a yard sale when I was uh, probably getting more interested in girls than having a bunch of cards and a rubber band around them in a dresser drawer that I didn't even care to look at much anymore. I'd rather um, spend my money on other things. But that was kind of my first experience in collecting. When the Batman TV series came out, that was pretty exciting. That was a big Batman fan. The Adam West and Burt Ward, Batman and Robin they're so iconic. Uh, they did do actual cards with photo cards of them, which I never saw until my adult years. In fact, just recently, didn't even know they'd made the Bat Laughs, I think they're called. And I've recently collected quite a few of those. But the Batman cards that I collected were color. Ooh, that was exciting. Because most of the cards were black and white. All the TV shows were black and white, and we didn't have a color TV, so I never watched Batman in color. I watched them in black and white. But the color, and they were also an artist had done them. So, and they were really good looking cards. They did 3 series: the black bat, the blue bat, and the red bat. Most non-sports card sets have usually about 66 cards, sometimes 55 cards, uh, sometimes a little more than that. But the cards of that era uh, were were all pretty small sets, so it wasn't that difficult to complete a set. You know,
Uh,
but
Speaking of complete sets, one of the more infamous non-sports sets is the Mars Attacks, and it's been reprinted and is still very popular to this day. What are some of the other non-sports sets of 60s, 70s that are expensive if somebody's like, hey, I really enjoy such and such, they made cards, let me go
Or
out
movie
and
even.
yeah, because I know one specifically that is, you know, we've been watching some stuff related to it recently. What are some of the sets from that era that are just
well,
expensive?
I've collected a lot of those sets, and I don't have complete sets on a lot of them. But because they do get a little expensive. Uh, it- but generally, most cards, I have uh, the Lost in Space cards are a little more expensive than some of the others. Munsters were made by Leaf. They're a little tougher to get. There did there was Adam's Family, I think, was done by Don Russ. I think I have a complete set of that. There were shows like Gilligan's Island, um, and I have a reproduction set. They reprinted it. I do have a reprint set of that, and some of the original cards. Thanks to you, Ben, giving me a few of those for Christmas last year. Uh, there,
And like the cheapest ones were like $15-$20
yeah,
each.
yeah.
You know, because you didn't have any, so I was just going to grab whatever they had, picking off a couple of the cheap ones, and literally those were the cheapest ones.
They all run a lot of non-sports cards from that are 50 to 60 years old from the there we have an Adams Family card. I do have a complete set of that. Again, black and white pictures, a little out of focus on a lot of them. A lot of the cards from that era were, black and white, so they weren't as exciting as some of the color sets. Like Beverly Hillbillies was a beautiful set they did. Brady Bunch was in color, and Planet of the Apes. I have Combat was a black and white set. I have that mostly. The um, Get Smart set was an interesting set. Uh, they were actually, I think, two cards together perforated, and so you tore the cards apart, and they were smaller in size and square rather than rectangle like most card trading cards are. So it was an interesting set. I have a lot of the Get Smart cards, and most of my interest would be all those TV shows from the 1960s. Uh, I have the Zorro cards that were done by, they were made by Topps, the Disney Zorro with Guy Williams, who was also in Lost in Space. I only have about maybe a dozen of the real Lost in Space cards. I do have a kind of a generically reprinted set, so I do have a version of all the cards, but yeah, there's some good Smart cards.
In the early 90s, Steph, they did what, the 52, 53 Topps baseball sets? They were done in what, 91 and 93?
54, I think 93, 94.
They did
So
50,
they did 52 and 83 and then continued it.
Okay. So sometimes, I mean, that's as close as certain collectors are going to get to this stuff. And,
Sure.
I know my dad recently completed his Superman set. That was Fleer?
I think it's Topps.
Is it Topps?
It's done in 1965, 60. It's from the TV show that starred George Reeves, and it's a beautiful set. I finally
Definitely
completed
Topps.
it, and yeah, it was Topps. I finally completed that set, and that's one that I really love to have complete. There were a couple of cards that were most difficult to find because it wasn't that it was necessarily a card that was more scarce than another card. It was just like the Beetle cards that I showed earlier. It was a more popular card because it was a good picture. It was one that everybody wanted. And that's what made them, it wasn't a rookie card. It was all like baseball cards and other sports cards. I think that one in the center is the one.
I was going to say, I'm going to assume that this is probably one of those.
And
that was the last. That was the last one you got, right?
Yes, that was the one that was, because it would be going for up to $30 sometimes, and I was kind of picky. If I'm going to pay $30 for this card, I want good borders. Because back in those days, when they printed the cards and cut them with the machines, there were a lot of off-centered cards. Not like today's cards where they're so perfect, and the centering is not such an issue like it was because they were all produced and printed in such a high-tech way, now, and the processes are so much better because a lot of cards would be offset too, where the picture was blurred because when color cards particularly, and that's true of the earlier baseball and other sports cards. You get them where they're miscut or offset, and in fact, didn't I give you a Willie Mays? Was it Willie Mays? There was one card you have in your collection, Ben, that is really, really blurred because it was like when it was printed, because it had to go through the printing press 4 different times to do the 4-color printing. They'd print the yellow, the red, the cyan is what they call it, the blue, and then black. So if the press was a little off, it wasn't centered right, it created a real blurred picture.
Yeah, that was a 1960 Topps maze. I'll have to see if I can dig that out and tweet out a picture of it. As you were referencing some of the sets that are a little harder to come by, you and I have been watching. We recently watched a documentary on the Brady Bunch, and I know you watched the Christmas special. We started watching the movie that they made in 1995, the satiristic view of bringing the Bradys to the 90s. One of the things the documentary had touched on was the fact that saw so much marketing, right? The band Kiss is infamously probably the most adept at marketing themselves and throwing themselves on whatever they could. And the Brady Bunch, like everything else, was a product of that same process. And I think trading cards were just another thing. Nobody really cared. You were going through Vietnam. The world was changing. Disco, the hippie movement. It wasn't really trading cards as much as nobody was probably really collecting Brady Bunch trading cards, which created a sense of scarcity. And how many of those got into market? How many of those got into collections? How many of those are hitting the secondary market? If you want to get a complete set of Gilligan's Island, Brady Bunch, you're probably looking at about $1,500 to $2,000. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
I think you're probably in the ballpark.
And the other problem isn't even the money. It would be you'd have to have the patience, because like you were talking about the George Reeves card, certain cards out of that 55 or 60 card set of whether it's Brady Bunch or Get Smart, they're going to be harder to find, like the Mars Attacks. You could have the money, but go find one. Like right now, go find one. We've talked on the show many times about food issues from the 50s and things, regional. Even the Mother's Cookies, the Oakland A's and the San Francisco Giants. If you want that stuff from the 80s and 90s, when collecting cards was a thing, let alone Brady Bunch cards that came out in 1973 or whatever year that, where people are being shipped off to Vietnam, real world problems. And the world was in a very, very specific era. Martin Luther King's, untimely assassination in 1968. You had all of this stuff going on. I don't think people were going down to the nickel and dime store to pick up a pack of cards because they had a crush on Greg or Marsha Brady. And
for that matter, with the anniversary having just passed the other day, JFK cards.
Yeah. There's a lot of fun stuff in non-sports though. What pivoting just a little bit, I got my first pack of trading cards in 1986 at my cousin David's birthday party, your sister's house.
Yeah. Thanks to my sister, she got you started.
So what made you decide? The year's now 1987, the birth year of Steph. What made you decide to get me into the hobby full-fledged in 87?
Well, my sister, your cousin David, my nephew, he got very interested in it. We became big Oakland A's fans at that time. We'd go to, 3 or 4 games a year, just because it was our team. I was an Oakland A's fan when I was my late teens. My sisters had crushes on a lot of the players, and of course that was what I think was the best Oakland A's team ever, so far anyway. The 72, 73, 74. That was the Oakland A's, and we went to several games when I was growing up, and so we were kind of the Oakland A's were just an important part of my growing up, and then you and David both got into collecting Oakland A's, and I remember my sister and I chasing all over town. And Toys R Us had a set, and Hy-Vee had sets, and Woolworths, and all these different stores. Kmart, we had to go get these sets. And we didn't buy one set; we bought 2 sets because you had an Oakland A's binder where you kept all your A's cards, and then you had to have the whole set. so we thought. And we were just buying up everything. And of course, that was the junk wax era where they were just producing so much stuff. And cereal boxes had them on the back, and we ate cereal that didn't taste very good, but we had to buy them so we could get the cards off the backs of the boxes. And it just went wild. And I would say that was one of the things that really got you going in card collecting. There were baseball card shops popping up all over the place. I had a very good friend who he and his wife had a baseball card shop in Old Sac. Well, I'd go and buy Philadelphia A's for you and Kansas City A's, and so you'd have things from the early years, the 50s and the 60s, and even though you didn't know who those players were at the time, it was just really cool to have those. And I remember buying a bunch of these and then letting you earn them by getting A's at school, A's for A's.
So he never got them?
Maybe not. I may still have a stack laying around.
I had a really good day at work. In fact, I would say it was like an A day at work today.
Oh, okay. Really?
Make sure to get one card.
I'll have to confirm that with your boss and look at your report card to see.
If you're gonna go to my boss, then never mind. Let's just move on. How come you don't still finance my collection like you did when I was a kid? I'm still your kid. So
your collection?
My collection.
Hey, maybe it's my collection and
you're
adding
just the custodian.
Yeah.
It is community property, so I suppose
our collection. Yeah.
Well,
I'll tell you why I don't finance it anymore. Card collecting has gotten extremely expensive. When I was growing up, a card gained value by, because a lot of them ended up in the bicycle spokes and went through the washing machine because they were in our pocket, and Mom didn't check the pocket when she washed our clothes, and a lot of cards got destroyed. So they became valuable because of the scarcity just over time. Cards that are 50, 60 years old, to me, the old cardboard has much more value than the stuff they're putting out today. Mm-hmm. And they're creating collectible cards by, this is the one and only of this card, and there's only 10 of this card, and they put more sparkles on it and all these fancy borders and these things. It's like a fishing lure to catch you. You go for the bait, that's a pretty card. And they are. I agree that a lot of the cards are very nice looking cards, but it's like all of a sudden this card is worth a whole bunch of money because there's only 10 of them of that particular version of the card, and a lot of them same picture, just a different background, different color, and it drives me crazy trying to collect them all.
Says the guy who had to spend 40 candy bars worth of money to get the Beetle haircut in the crew cut. I mean, that's just an early parallel. That's all that is. Series 2 had him with hairs, or with the crew cuts. Series 3 had him with the mop top. I mean, they've been doing this since the beginning of time.
Well, they did that because they were selling cards. They knew the kids would, a picture of the Beatles with short hair. We haven't seen that before. But it's just one of the cards in the set. It's numbered differently. And the two cards that I showed are the same image, but they were about 10 cards apart in the set.
See?
They threw that one in just to kind of give us something to want.
But honey, it's not the same. This one is the camel border. This one is the black border. This one has toilet paper in the background, or
little snowflakes or stars or
They're always coming up with new stuff.
Yeah.
Do have
Some kind
two
of sparkles or
tidbits
glitter.
here.
What you got, stuff?
Fall 5 says apparently he's having issues with live chat. Don't know what it is, but did want to wish us a happy Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to you too as well.
Thank you, Jeremy.
And then second, you kind of glossed over Batman, more to focus on Superman, but to bring it to circle it back, as someone's keen to say. And I know I've talked about it on the show. I don't know that I've actually shown it. A couple years back, we bought a die-cast Batman car, and then as they were making the rounds through the different Comic-Cons, we noticed that both Burt Ward and Adam West were signing at the same table. So, addressed to my mom, to Sherry.
That's slick.
Adam West quickly signed it, and then Burt Ward signed it and inscribed it Robin.
Nice.
And then posed for us with a photo and shook our hands, and much more personable than Adam West was. But it was a cool experience that Mom absolutely loves.
No, that'd be a great piece to display.
Shut that there. And it has a display case and all, of course. But
that's awesome.
What's interesting to me about autographs is, and I know you collectors pay lots of money for a lot of these autographs, and it's like over the years, the handwriting of these guys, some of them are really beautifully, the autograph very legible and just absolutely beautiful autographs where you could actually read the names. A lot of this stuff looks like a kindergartner scribbled on it or something, and I just don't quite understand.
Even
the
some
big
of the
desire.
current guys have that problem.
Well, autographs to me, the ones that are most meaningful to me are the ones where I actually was there, handed it to the person, they autographed it, handed it back to me.
Here goes the Peter Tork story in the coffee shop. I knew it.
No, I wasn't going to go there, but now that
since Ben brought it up, and that's it in this case.
I did spend an evening in a coffee shop with Peter Tork of the Monkees, and he signed a couple cards for me, which I have in my collection. No way to let somebody know that these are authentic autographs of Peter Tork, but I was there. He signed them, handed them back to me. They have his DNA on the card.
You tell me at least once a week about this. Hey, I ever tell you about? Yes, you did. But that's what's fun about it, right? Though, because my dad's got horrible knees, like you mentioned. He's had a lot of injuries when he was young. But at FanFest 2 years ago, when the late Ray Fosse, throwback to the swinging A's, when Ray Fosse starts walking, I said, "Dad, there's Ray." I swear to God, my dad could have beat Usain Bolt in a race. I mean, he's bad knees and all. He's running after Ray Fosse. He did the same thing when Dennis Eckersley was there. And I'm like, Dad, slow down. and like a kid in a candy store. And
I think Ray Fosse thought Pete Rose was coming at him again. He was ready to dodge. I went over so quickly to shake his hand and meet him. And of course, I met Raleigh Fingers on that same day, and those were my A's. Those were the A's that I grew up and enjoyed. That was my team. But meeting all these young players too, and so many of them are just they're just people like you and me. They're friendly. They're fun to be around. They're very enjoyable, just as people, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, those handshake and a memory, and again, it's that's what cards are about, right? They bring us back to memories, whether it's our favorite team or our favorite players or an era. There's so much in the cards. That's why we say that they tell a story. Got two more quick ones for you before we get into the show. 1985 or 1987 McGuire. What is the true rookie card?
I don't know if I should go there. Okay. No. Hey, my rent might go up if I give the wrong answer.
It's okay.
May
I
not
can
have a
remove
roof
them.
over my head if I give the wrong answer.
There's no fear of retaliation. He's gone.
Oh, I'm safe.
Yes, you
Okay.
were briefly.
Yeah. Well, no. A true rookie card is it the first card the player was appeared on in his team uniform or just any old uniform? I don't know what a rookie card is. It doesn't really matter which one is the rookie, like which came first, the chicken or the egg. I don't know. I would have to say the if you're basing the rookie card on which is the most desirable, which is the most expensive, uh, I would have to say an 85 would be. I don't think they printed nearly as many 85s as they did by 87. They were printing those things so fast and so furious, and cards were everywhere. But I would have to say I believe it's 87 is the true rookie card, the Oakland A's rookie card. And some people may argue with me, but just for not wanting to be evicted from my home
Well,
and living
It's just
somewhere
above your head if
and
you look behind the
it,
little microphone.
to keep
it,
peace in the family, I'll have to go with the 87.
yeah, I love the arguments and the debates because again, really, it's hard to say what a rookie card is because our good friend Ben Aguirre will argue with me all day long about XRCs, extra rookie cards, where
Mm-hmm.
we're going to get into Wander Franco, I believe, a little later in the show, but his true rookie cards are going to come out next year, but he's already had Bowman cards, and now he's got Topps Now cards from this year where they all say call up, and he'll have a slew upon if he has 100, he'll probably have 500 next year, with all the Topps Nows and everything. That's before you get to all the parallels. What's a rookie card? Well, they're all rookie cards. It's just varying degrees, and at the end of the day, collect what you like.
As a non-sports card collector, okay, I said I'm a card collector, even though I don't really collect cards. That would be a whole nother argument. But as a non-sports card collector, there's no such thing as a rookie card. I don't have to have a Greg Brady rookie card.
Do you?
They're all, yeah, actually, I do.
It's
I do have
first and last.
a few Brady Bunch cards. Getting back to that Brady Bunch set, I think that might have been a regional set, or sometimes they'll put out sets only in certain areas of the country to see how well they sell, and don't go into the mass production. And somewhere along the lines, that's what I'd heard about that set and why it's more scarce than so many other sets. I think the 1975 Topps Mini cards, the ones that they put out a little bit smaller, was an experimental thing and only regional, and not as available in everywhere in the country like so many of the others were. So I think that they experimented with lots of products and including trading cards in certain regions and certain areas, just to see how well they catch on and sell before it went into the mass production. That would have to be something that would be researched, though. Yeah.
I think we might have had a temporary issue. Are we okay, Steph?
I believe so.
Okay,
We still
sorry.
live? Testing?
Yeah, I see it. So, just real quick, Dad, before we move on, you might have already mentioned it. We always ask our first-time guests if you could own one card and only one card, what would it be?
If I could only have one card, boy, that would be a little bit tough. I would say my probably my first love would have been the Beatle cards, and I would go with the crew cut card because it's just at that time it was like Beatles long hair was a parents like, oh my gosh, it's just ridiculous, these boys from England coming into our country with long hair and starting the whole hippie generation or whatever they were
Mm-hmm.
afraid of. But to see those long-haired kids from England with crew cuts, that was like something we hadn't seen before.
Yeah, you know what the right answer to that question would have been? My
What?
1988 Little League card, my rookie card. But okay,
Oh, well,
okay,
hey,
Nobody
I,
wants that, though.
I thought you were asking a question
obviously.
about Topps cards. Not
I said
any
any card. It could have been my Little League card. But you're right, Steph. Obviously, even my own dad doesn't want that. He's like, give me, John Paul, Ringo, George, Pete Best, Stuart Sutcliffe if I have to. But
Hey, I like my Peter Tork autograph.
See, that's the one I was expecting.
Yeah, that would be a tough one to let go of too. Because
it really is a horrible question that we ask because
It
it's
is.
so tough to answer. I mean, the answer is whichever one I'm holding right now. It's like when people are like, "What's your favorite Sam Cooke song?" Well, which one am I listening to? That's my favorite. They're all my favorite.
Well, it's like which is better, an apple or an orange? Well, sometimes I'm more in the mood for an orange than I am for an apple. Which one makes the best juice? There's a lot of reasons why I may pick this one today and that one tomorrow. And it's the same thing with the trading cards. There's different reasons why I like this particular card.
Sure. Yeah, favorite movie, favorite TV show. It just depends.
Right.
I mean, everybody that knows me knows my favorite TV shows, The West Wing, The Office. Well, you can't compare the two shows. So what's the favorite? Well, am I looking to laugh or am I looking for something political, more serious drama? They're not. Hey, they can be 1A, 1B. So let's hop into the show. Thank you so much. That was an awesome interview. Awesome discussion. We'll probably talk for hours. You and I do talk for hours on non-sports, literally about the same conversations.
Yes, that's probably true.
So, this just in listener mail days and pulls. Steph and I have a long time listener, Ryan Wolf, friend of the show. He reached out to us via email, said I have some stuff that I got from I forget if he got it at a flea market or where he said he acquired it, but he's like, I'd like to get it to Ben if Ben can just pay the shipping. Love to get it in his hands. So after an email conversation, Ryan was kind enough put up an eBay auction just so he could get the printing label and everything and put it up for $1,000 or best offer. I offered him 99 cents. He accepted. Of course, that was the plan. He's like, put up a stupid price. And I'm like, Ryan, I'm sorry, but they're probably eBay sellers that would put that up there for real. But just a couple of the items, pretty neat. The Mark McGuire Wheaties box, it's in a case. He also had one loose. And then a tiny one too. Kind of neat. Bite size. So those are both neat, and they're both in displayable cases. He tossed in the last year's Stadium Club box topper of Luzardo. And then I thought this was really neat too. A couple of Sports Illustrateds. One of Sosa McGuire. This one here in front was actually the Topps Sports Illustrated. It was part of the Sports Illustrated set, card number 41. And the first that was, I wanted to have at least one of those just because I wanted to see what they look like in person. They did McGuire first. They ended up doing a couple of Oakland A's, Henderson and Canseco and whatnot later in the 70 card set. But And also this Mark McGuire ball from McDonald's giveaway. So
Nice.
yeah, car 62 commemorates September 8th, 1998 when he hit the 62nd home run. So that'll go on my. I have a few different balls. My dad last year got me like a 5 baseball. You got to take it so juvenile, Steph. That's insert that.
I was trying to keep it together.
Yes.
No, call me out. That's okay. That's okay.
Do we have that video from Herman Bryant 3B Collections
I
queued
have
up?
Up and ready.
So this video is kind of cool because it's 2 of our former guests and one that's on here quite a bit. Andrew Renault, Bayside Breakers, and Herman got together and made a deal. I don't know how it worked, but this was amazing. Herman tried to keep this short. We'll show at least part of the video. So let's go ahead and cue that up.
There are a few out of archives, including the bazooka. There's a few of Ronald Acuña's out of Chronicles and Topps archives.
So some good stuff here from Herman.
Lucas, Andreas,
Eddie Matthews,
Dale Murphy, which will go on my PC. Then I think I commented on one of his breaks and told him that
Nice mosaic
how
there.
good the cars looked, and he actually sent me go through them real quick. And Ben, since I know you're watching, glad you're feeling better, and take care of yourself. All right, everybody, stay safe and enjoy your hobby.
So that's awesome. If you're listening and not watching, Herman had probably about 30 or so cards, perhaps at least what he showed. Those came from Bayside Breakers to him. He reached out to Steph and I a couple of days ago. He goes, "Hey, got a break? Awesome." He's like, "Want me to do a video?" Like, yeah, and like all of us, right? Keep it under 60 seconds. And then he's like, "Hey, it's like 3 minutes long," because we can't. If we have an opportunity to make a story longer, we're definitely going to take advantage, especially in our household. So we appreciate Herman for that. That was awesome. First time we've had a video reveal of a mail day. And we also have had some other ones coming down the pipeline as well.
Mark Hoyle actually sent a message saying that he didn't want to clog our timelines with just his. And no, by all means, keep sending them.
Yeah, and Mark will probably be excited about all the Beatles card talk because, he's a huge Beatles fan. So, and he had mentioned to me one time that he doesn't have some of the Beatle cards or any of the Beatle cards, which is interesting. So, but please feel free to share your About the Cards mail days pulls. You can tag About the Cards like Herman did. You can have a video. Try to keep it around 60 seconds. And with decent audio, and make sure you're like talking through it all, because got to remember that not everybody watches on the YouTube. Sometimes they listen on the podcast streaming service of choice. So having fluid conversation throughout. But you can always use hashtag About the Cards mail day, and we'll try to get it on an upcoming episode. Alex Visioni, who's had a couple on our show, also tweeted out some archives hits. We'll probably show on next week's show.
And by all means, you can always tag us or send a DM or whatnots. We should be able to show those as well. Like this one, for example, from Christopher Schultz. Second to last one. It's a no. Boop-a-doop. So check these out.
Nice.
Looks like VIP 1 of 1, Transcendent Collection. The Beckett Sports Cards Monthly. Looks like it's been signed. And another form of the Transcendent VIP. Is that Transcendent Collection? It is Transcendent Collection. Sorry, tiny print. Thanks, Tops. Looks like both are 1 of 1s, just with different designs. One kind of looks like a Rugrats design and like a 70s haze effect, if you will, with the other.
No, is that a Aroldis Chapman?
Yeah, they're both Aroldis Chapman. Yep.
Nice. So we appreciate all, we can extend that segment if we get a really good week of people having some awesome stuff. We'd love to share it. So much of this hobby is living vicariously through one another because we can't collect it all. And so sometimes it's nice to see stuff that would not necessarily fit into our PC, but we still get to see the awesome cards and enjoy other people's collections as well. It's always fun to see how I collect this way, you collect that way. And today we had some non-sports talk. Last week we had hockey talk. There's so much, it's so vast that the hobby is much, much bigger than each of us. So it's always fun to see what other people are doing. And it's like the blacktop, except now we do it virtually and digitally. So,
and with my angry keyboards.
That's right. There was a lot of keyboard in last week. I was like, the week that was last week, Topps Living Week 193. Card 467, Tyler Stevenson, catcher for the Reds. Card 468, Tanner Houck, or Hook, or however you pronounce that, pitcher for the Red Sox. Didn't have sold listings, so I do apologize, but check those out. A couple of releases. 2021 Topps Stadium Club Chrome came out last Wednesday. Panini Flawless Collegiate Football last week. My dad and I watched, I think, a box of that on Mojo Break right before the show, and it comes out in like a gold case and with a key, and it was just like, you got to be kidding me, the stuff that we see in this hobby. And I know that's not the first time. It's just when you see it, it's like, stop, come on, these are just cardboard. Panini Illusions Basketball came out last week, and then on Thursday, 2021 Panini Classics Football. Hot off the press, Steph had just showed pictures of Topps Living Week 194. Card 469, Robin Yount, shortstop for the Brewers. He also spent a lot of time in the center field. So most of us probably remember him as a shortstop if you grew up during that time frame. Well, at least probably in the 70s when he was, early 80s. By the time I was collecting at the end of his career, he was an outfielder. And a card 470, Evan White, rookie card, first baseman for the Seattle Mariners. So pretty good week.
And it may have gotten a bit of a tip-off on the Robin Yount that it was coming down the pipe. Gorgeous card.
It really is. And with the old school Brewers logo,
Mm-hmm.
maybe the best, at least baseball logo of all time. But
I might even say any logo with the B that's hidden at the M, of course, the glove with the baseball in the center for Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, and that's the Jared Kelly one, right?
Yep, it is.
He did out. Yeah, that's phenomenal. With the big smile, the poofy hair, it's probably about, what would you say, Steph, 81-ish, 82?
Yeah, I was thinking 82, but
little age to his face, so probably later 20s, I would imagine. But great card. And that Milwaukee Brewers logo, yeah, Steph, maybe what? You'd put them all together of all time, all the sports, 500, 600, 700 logos now, perhaps. It's got to be top 10, if not top 5.
Yeah, thereabouts, sure.
So, Topps Living Star Wars, available through next Tuesday. Card 259, Eth Koth, I think is how you would pronounce that, Star Wars The Phantom Menace. And then 260, Garandin, Star Wars A New Hope. My dad does have the complete collection of the Star Wars. It was one that he was kind of on the fence with. I talked him into it's my secret play. I was like, Dad's not going to live forever. He's the caretaker. He can finance this, and then again, it's our collection. I co-own a complete set of top Star Wars livings. So
there you go.
Well, as long as he keeps his the door to his room unlocked, I do. If he locks it, then there's some custodial issues there.
I mean, do you blame him?
No, I don't. Not at all. And then Topps Throwback Thursday, available through tomorrow morning. I already saw a preview for next week. One of the Twitter timelines had already had what they were coming out with, but this is set 46. Second time they're doing the 1975 football highlights. Last week was all Atlanta Braves. All three of them. I think it was Freeman, Max Fried, and Jorge Soler. This week it is Derek Jeter, Vlad Guerrero Jr. with the short print, and Marcus Simeon. Kind of surprised they didn't put Jeter in the middle with the short print.
Yeah, but that would mean he would have some range as a short. Never mind.
So we don't have a whole lot of big releases coming out this week. 2020-21 Panini Chronicles Basketball coming out today at $449.95. You'll get 6 packs, and then 8 cards per pack, 2 autos per box. It's Panini, it's Chronicles. Expect countless parallels and other nonsense in that. We all know what Chronicles is. Enjoy. Also, 2021 Leaf Metal Pop Century is coming out on Friday. It actually had either today's date or Friday's date. When you went to the sell sheet, it showed Friday. $250 a box. You'll get 1 pack, 4 cards. All 4 cards are hits. I picked out, there are 86 total subjects on the base autos. I picked out a few names that kind of stuck out to me. Adam Driver. You have Kylo Ren for Star Wars collectors. Ben Affleck, Batman. Charlie Sheen, who's an 8-man out in Major League, of course. So you have ties to him. Chuck Norris. I don't know how many certified autos he has, but that's kind of interesting. Daisy Ridley, also Star Wars. Dennis Rodman. Ed O'Neill, football extraordinaire. Little Giants. My dad and I just completed his first watch through of Cobra Kai. Obviously, Elizabeth Shue popped out at me because I think she was if you're my age, you had a crush on Elizabeth Shue. Maybe you saw her in Karate Kid in 84, maybe in 85, Back to the Future, maybe in 87, it was Adventures in Babysitting, perhaps all 3. Guaranteed, if you're my age, you had, and it's not like it ended, still have a crush on Elizabeth Shue. Harrison Ford, I imagine will be a much sought-after auto out of this. Joe Exotic, the Tiger King, has 3 separate iterations of his auto. Joe Montana, Michael Keaton, another Batman, and then Rainn Wilson from The Office. They didn't do an Office set, and when they did the Sons of Anarchy years ago, they didn't do Mark Boone Jr., who played Bobby. Leaf Pop, however, did. So I picked up the Mark Boone Jr. to complete the Sons of Anarchy Biker Club, the MC, because that was the only one of the main cast members that was not featured in any of the season 1 through 7 of Sons. Dad, you have a couple of the Pop Centuries handy from Leaf from years past. Who do you have in your collection?
I may have others, but the 2 that I was able to grab, Jay North, Dennis the Menace, and this one is from the Dick Van Dyke Show, Rosemarie, who played Sally.
Yeah, and those are great looking cards.
Yeah. And, again, these are, autographs that I just, purchase them because I like these shows or these actors, and, just like to have them in my collection. I do have a collection. How many cards do you have to have a collection? That's
one more than you, whatever number you have, you'll need one more.
Oh, I need
Always.
one more.
Moving goalposts.
Okay, so I'm not a collector yet till I buy one more card, but then I'll still need one more card.
Always.
Always.
We could probably put a number of 1987 Topps cards of McGuire's. You buy me another 1,000 or so, we'll let you in the back door and call you a card collector.
Hey.
Actually, I know I've given you a hard time about you not being a card collector because it's more like you're a Batman collector who bought Batman cards. You're a Beatles collector who has Beatle cards, so you're not a card collector. But after the top of the show, I'm going to probably be in the minority. Most people will be like, no, your dad's a card collector. Shut up. So congratulations. You win, world.
Well, I do have a lot of cards, but it's the kind of thing that's not my top priority of collecting things either. So it's just kind of, like you said, added to my other collections.
Well, we've had this conversation many a time about how you talk about that George Reeve card from Superman. You have Superman collectors that want that card. They're not card collectors, but they want that card or one of the cards or maybe a handful because it goes with their other collection. Yeah, you have people that collect Batman that are going to want Batman cards. You have so on and so forth. So they're not necessarily card collectors per se. They do have cards in their collection. Just like I'm not a memorabilia collector, but I've got memorabilia in my collection. So just, again, it's all semantics at that point.
Most collections have a crossover to there's a lot of collectors that collect one thing or another because it fits into their collection. So you might have a lot of people who collect cards just because it's part of another collection. Yeah,
it's not their, I have Funko Pops, but am I a Funko Pop collector? I've got 150 of them, so maybe I am, but it's not number one. But so also releasing this week, pretty much nothing. 2021 Bowman Draft First Edition did come down the pipeline today. $750 a box. You'll get 50 packs. But the good news is Blowout Cards has 24 packs available for like $579. So if you want to get really ripped off, buy it through the secondary. But I do know at least one very large name breaker who will go nameless had them available and was already ripping them. So how they got them so early when they were still live, I don't know, but it's not the first time. The reason they'll remain nameless is I did get into it with them on Twitter over this very topic of, come on, man. How are you getting product and ripping it so early? And there's some shenanigans there. So,
no, that would never happen.
I know. So that's it, man. We don't have anything else.
They just had express rushed on their shipment, and that's all it is.
That is, man. That's all scheduled release dates are subject to change, but we're current as of this morning. MSRP pricing and product details were gathered from Blowout Cards and subject to change. Check out Ryan Cracknell's articles on Beckett.com/news for more details on these new releases. What's brewing?
Beckett.com.
Did I not say the Beckett.com/news?
That time.
What's brewing next week? Ryan Cracknell is synonymous. We shouldn't have to say where he's at. Everybody should know. Hey, check out Ryan Cracknell. I mean, and then everybody probably already has it bookmarked, ready to go, alerts on their phone. If Ryan says something, we all want to know. What's brewing next week's releases? 2021 Panini Contenders Optic Basketball coming out on Wednesday. Also Panini XR Football on Wednesday. And then on Friday, 12/3, Panini Mosaic Basketball Hobby. And there's a few assorted Pokemon releases. There's like 3 or 4 of them. So if Pokemon is your thing, check those out. Info Chatter, Hobby Talk section. Considering it's Thanksgiving tomorrow, we're going to try to keep, a little more positive on the show for the remainder of the show, because why not? It's the giving season. What are we most thankful for in the hobby? Dad, what are you most thankful for?
Well, I'm most thankful that I'm not financing your baseball card collection.
Investment.
My investment.
Go up and get a job and be able to buy your own cards. So I'm grateful for that. Very thankful. But I'm just thankful mostly for the community of not just card collectors, but all collectors, because we all have that common bond of let's preserve some history. Let's find a way to share it with others, and our passion for it, that we all enjoy it for one reason or another. Not all the same reasons, but everybody has their need. It's a feel good. Collecting is a feel good thing. We buy a lot of these things because it makes us feel good. We enjoy it. And I'm just thankful for the many collectors that I've met throughout the years of many different things, just the friendships that I've made. And that would be what I would have to say about what I'm most thankful for.
He's getting so smart, Steph, ever since he started watching About the Cards about 3 years ago. He's gotten so smart. Steph, what are you hobby thankful for?
Well, I mean, he did kind of steal the sails out from underneath the wings. Also, September 82
Look
for
at
the
us.
Robin Yount top slipping.
Look at us.
No, I mean, obviously that. I have many friends all over the world, country, that I don't see on a daily basis, but I chat, text, phone call with, that it is a great joy. I thankful for my teams not doing great, so that I don't have to spend super expensive money trying to collect the number to 25s, 50s, and ones.
Amen.
So there's
Amen.
that. And for our continued health within the family. We've had our bumps on the roads. I know you guys have had your bumps in the roads, and we're still kicking. So every day is a joy when I wake up.
It's funny you mention that, Steph, because the A's are talking about tearing down the team, and I'm just thinking, man, all those new rookies are going to come up around 2025. Man, the hobby's going to be super expensive for me if one or two of these guys end up hitting. But
that's assuming they're not in Las Vegas by then, or Vancouver.
Well, hey, they're still the A's, though, right? It'll be the fourth iteration of the franchise, still going to collect. So yeah, the friendships, obviously, and I've got a huge thanks for everything at the end of the show for everyone, but to change it up and not go with that line, I'm thankful for 9-card team sets, not 8, not 10, but 9-card team sets. I'm thankful for limited, or even better, no parallels. When you see like an insert on the checklist, like the platinum player, or not platinum player die cuts, the 70th anniversary from Update, no parallels. You buy the $1 card, you're out. Cool.
What about like the Bowman Platinum or the Bowman Prospects insert?
Yeah, but if you don't have, not every parallel, I think you have to collect, right? So, but if it's your guy, like if it's a McGuire, right, and it's like you don't see him on the checklist, you're like, yes.
I just wanted you to admit that those are an insert.
Oh, dear Jesus. I knew this show was going to be long. I'm hobby thankful for vertical, not horizontal cards. I'm thankful for, and you can agree with me if you're over the age of like 35, I am hobby thankful for large printed card numbers on the back. I'm hobby thankful for the addition of action variations or something along those lines to let us know that this card is different than that one. Printed right on the card, like Heritage is taken to. Hey, this is the action variation. And of course, I'm hobby thankful for the friendships. Obviously, you guys both touched on that. And one last thing, I'm hobby thankful for the newbies to have fun with on Twitter who thinks cards are investments. Those are always a good day when a new one pops up and wants to argue. It's like, yes, I thought it was going to be a slow day. So
you realize it's just semantics, right?
Anyhow, moving on to a couple of Twitter responses. Good friend Shane Salmonson did share the most common sentiment. Steph, I don't know if you've got that tweet handy and you can read through that.
I do. Also, Shane, you're slacking. There's no weekly Wednesday post as far as what you broke.
He's a Red Sox fan. He's not the brightest bulb in the tool shed.
Calling you out. Also, Matt Townstat 114 for that. Thankful for the friends I've made in the hobby and those that I continue to meet in person as the years go by. Mark Hoyle piggybacking on this. I've had numerous hobby-related meetups this year. A lot of great friends made.
Yeah. Another good friend of the show, Alex Visioni, said that he's thankful for all the racks, the random acts of kindness, and how many people just send stuff to other people because, I can't tell you how many times, Steph and I and Tim Shepler would say, man, somebody just sent us this out of the blue because they listened to the show. And there are so many great people that will get something. Andrew Renault, Bayside Breakers, been on the show, 10 times now, 8 times, coming back on next week with us. Has been such a good friend to each of us on the show. It's just amazing that there's so many, to my dad's point, there's so many collectors, not just in the trading card community, that value let's get this item, let's get this trading card to the right home, over let's put it up on eBay and get every last single penny. Sometimes it's more important to get it to the right caretaker, the right home, than it is, as I sit here twirling this baseball that Ryan Wolf wanted to get into my home, because he felt this was the right home. And he did say, hey, if Ben doesn't want to pay for shipping, I'll get rid of it. But it's that sentiment. And sometimes we do help each other with covering the cost of shipping or make trades and whatnot. And sometimes it's just like, hey, I'm just going to throw a stamp on this and drop a PWE. Steve Brightman did the same thing for me, getting me a Provisions McGuire in the mail this week. It means the world to you. It really does. And so definitely can agree with Alex's sentiment. And then Justin Sell said that he's thankful for getting back into the hobby, which he enjoyed as a kid. It's allowed him to reconnect and share his passion for cards with his dad. So awesome that Justin can share that. Obviously, I can share that with my dad, Rick. Not all of us have parents around that are still alive. Not everybody has parents that are willing to share the passion. I mean, again, Rick, you're not necessarily a card collector, but you listen to our show every week, almost every week. You've listened to our show and supported our show. And that's awesome, because it's not your first hobby. And I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that's not as interesting to you when we talk about certain things, because, you don't collect sports cards. And
One thing that I would like to say about that is there is so many similarities in collecting of anything that we collect, that when I listen to this podcast, and I'm just so glad that it's been continuing for so long now and so many years, is I learn things, not just about card collecting, but about collecting in general. Just the like I said, all the similarities in collecting of anything that we decide to collect. The information that you guys share is very, very helpful, very informative, and it's fun to listen to. It's like sitting in the living room with you guys every Wednesday evening. Gives us something to do. We all share that common interest, and that's what makes it so much fun.
We are brothers
Hi,
and
Dan.
sisters. Yeah, hi, Dan, from Korea, South Korea. Look at you. Hey, happy Thanksgiving to you, my friend. It is Thanksgiving already where Dan is at. And speaking of which, Dan, you need to get on the show soon. So we need to coordinate that maybe in January.
Saturday.
Maybe a Saturday if we have to. Steph and I will coordinate it if you can't come on live with us on Wednesdays. So, and Dan does say, doesn't Rick collect train stuff? We'll have to have you back on. You can talk about the similarities between the toy train community and again, that's kind of perhaps a dying hobby as we can get into that another day. We'll have you on again, maybe in the next month or two, get a little bit into that. I want to keep with the positivity of the hobby on the eve of Thanksgiving. What is the worst thing about being a collector? This came up via card purchaser. Some funny responses. Sorting cards that aren't even worth the paper that they're printed on. We've all done this. Lying to oneself about not having a problem. We've all done this. Getting an eBay notification 15 minutes out. You're pumped, ready to go, and then you forget to bid and see that the final sale price was much lower than you were prepared to pay.
See, I think maybe even worse than that is not even getting the notification.
Yeah,
like
my phone's
checking
been doing
on it,
that.
seeing that, hey, there's like a day and 4 hours remaining. Cool. Mentally set a reminder, and then you just completely blank until 3 days later.
Oh, I hate that.
Yep, never done that before.
Yeah. Screwed myself on the Gypsy Queen Matt Chapman, Jackie Robinson parallel, and one went for $1 plus shipping, and I'm like, I don't know what it would have. And when you go back and see the final sale value, obviously, if you had bid on it, it could have went for significantly higher. If that one bidder gets it for $1, doesn't mean that their high bid wasn't, Dan, Korean Cardboard, great follow on Twitter. If you're not being able to find the card you want to buy, he's obviously probably the only Mark Burley super collector in the world.
Let alone being super remote.
Yeah, and we say in the world, he's literally halfway across the world from those of us that are here in the States, which also speaks to lack of retail product available was one of the comments. Mm-hmm. Being short of storage supplies, whether that is as a seller or, if you're just opening and you run out of the penny sleeves and the top loaders. The rapidity or frequency of releases. Lack of time, space, money. I thought a funny one was Twitter. It's the worst thing about collecting, Twitter. What are your personal thoughts as a collector? Steph, what do you really have worst thing about being a collector?
I would agree both with the frequency of releases. I just can't keep up nowadays. I'm kind of killing to what I actually collect, whereas years past me, I've done every single insert. I'm not even bothering anymore. Team set, and that's it. Then base, not auto, just the base. Base. Drop me the base. I would agree to some point that social media kind of ruins it, but not nearly as much as that it enhances. People sharing. There's a great group of collectors out there, not just on Twitter, but Instagram and Facebook-ish, kind of, maybe, sort of. Maybe a net negative on Facebook, but
it's late where you're at.
But like anything, it depends on who you're following, or who you're not following. Or friends with, or what have you, depending on the service. So, I mean, would you not agree that you can make a solid argument between Dub, between Cracknell, and between Jimmy? Like, who do you leave out of your top 5?
Their
friend, at least.
If we had to do like a MySpace top 8 in like the old days. It'd be incredibly hard to leave certain people out of that top 8, and always cracks me up when I find out people like, I mean, even I get why people block me because I'm me, but there are certain people like, can you imagine somebody blocking Jimmy or Ryan, who's not very antagonistic ever, doesn't usually say anything negative, but at the very least is a incredible source of information. Mm-hmm. He's a great resource. And doesn't always have the answer, but can help guide you. And to my dad's point earlier, right, this show has been a good, helpful, informative. And sometimes, we learn. I'm learning all the time from our listeners and our friends. And we'll be the first ones to admit we don't know something. But, hey, you know what? We probably know somebody that does, whether that's referring you to Ryan Cracknell or any other number of people saying that's who I would go to with your question.
Or I can take 2 minutes on the internet and find you an answer.
Yeah, and Steph is literally a walking, talking encyclopedia. But that's the thing. Yeah, ask somebody that you don't know. Whether you're asking to price a card, ask somebody for an opinion. If you're legitimately not just being lazy. I mean, if you can look it up on eBay. Because sometimes, one-of-ones, how do you price them? We've talked about that before. You can price one-of-ones fairly easily, at least get a range of what you might get for it. But ask, a lot of people reach out to me all the time asking different questions. What's your opinion on this? And somebody asked me about basketball cards one time, and I'm like, not the right guy. Let me point you to somebody that would know. I'm not going to just, So, Dad, what's your perspective? More of a third party perspective. What's the worst part about being a collector? I mean, you can relate it back to collecting.
Well. I would say sneaking it in the house sometimes so your significant other doesn't know how much you paid for something or where you got it, or in train collecting, one of our big jokes among other collectors was the wives saying, "What do you need another black one for?" All the locomotives, steam locomotives look the same to them, but no, this one has a special number or a certain railroad road name on the the tender. It's a totally different locomotive, but to them, it looks just the same as all the other ones. And I'm sure with card collecting, same thing. Well, what do you need that one for? You already got one that looked like that. So,
which I suppose would be a late addition to my to be thankful for is that thankful for being able to share my hobby with the. I don't want to give her too many positives, but the lovely Angela. And that really the only sneaking into the house is her trying to bring in unopened product before I break it in the Jeep.
Yeah, the problem is when you have a joint checkbook and you're like, yeah, honey, I only spent X amount of dollars on this. And then it's like, really? Because I'm going to check the checkbook. And it's like, all right. So anyhow, let me back that up for a minute. You're looking awful beautiful
Let me
today.
Rephrase a thing real quick here. What I meant to say was.
Yeah. But no, so yeah, there's a lot of worse things. But hey, we're passionate about it. And our negativity comes from our love and our frustration. But
we could be spending that money in a bar, drinking it away, which is, at least we have something tangible, something that they can sell when we're not looking, if they had to. It's a whole different thing with, what's important about collecting is, it's something that we enjoy doing, that's not hurting our health, unless she finds out, could hurt our health. But,
sure.
It's some of the other worst things that I kind of feel about card collecting these days, in compared to the past. Of course, I paid $2 for a card that's only worth $2 today. If I could even get that for it, hey, it's a good one. It doesn't have a thumbtack hole, pretty good centering. But the price of cards, for what you're paying for a small piece of cardboard that has a guy's picture printed on it, it's like it just seems like a lot of money to spend on something that really doesn't have much value in reality. It's a piece of paper. Wouldn't what can you do with a piece of paper? Of course, the old days, the Beatle cards had girls' phone numbers printed on the back. Lots of times, they'd write each other's numbers. I love Ringo, and cool little comments. But when it gets down to it, it's nothing but a bunch of paper, a bunch of cardboard, and we're paying a lot of money for it.
The worst part, the blasphemy isn't writing your telephone number on the back of the card. The blasphemy was saying that Ringo was your favorite. I mean, that is faux pas. So we're really getting into something that's pretty friggin' awesome. Lanny Ribes at DOZBZ17 on the Twitter completed another set. This is pretty awesome. He completed his 1962 Topps set, shared a video of him inserting the final card into the page, flipping through the pages. He now has complete Topps sets. I asked him, I said, hey, what vintage sets? Because I know he recently got 53. Incredible accomplishment out of the way. He has complete sets, get this, of 1953 Topps, 54, 55, 58, 59, 61, now 62, 63, 66, 68, and 69. He's only missing 16 cards to complete 65. Another 29 for 67, probably high series, I would imagine. And around 65 cards for 64. He hasn't really got serious yet about 1956, 57, or 60. And then he said, well, 1952 is just a side gig with around 100 or so in his PC as he finds them. cheap.
Of course.
So, dear
Here's a
sweet
quick
Lord, I mean,
20-second
yeah.
video. Gotta kill the audio there.
Yeah, so he's inserting his final Milwaukee Brave. He's got a dancing 62 Mickey Mantle, which was, I believe, my first high-end vintage card. Got one Christmas, probably around 1980, 88, 89. I mean, 62 alone, completing that set is damn impressive because there's a lot of great names outside of just Mantle and Mays and Aaron. But doesn't that have the Ernie Banks rookie card? Or am I thinking?
I believe so.
Maybe I'm way off. No, Banks would be 54. I'm thinking Lou Brock. Sorry, apologies. It's got the Brock rookie, I believe. And some of the high numbers, obviously the highlights at the top of the year, and then some of the dual rookie cards and stuff like that.
It also has the gorgeous killer tri-shot, although it's not the third panel is not from the same game. Where you can see Jim Cott in the background.
Yeah,
after a home run.
So congratulations, Lanny. That is damn impressive. It's 2000
rookies in 62. Tom Trash, although that was a quick burnout. Let's see, major names here. Of course, that had the infamous air variation whatnots. Gaylord Perry, Dean Chance, Al Downing. Let's see here. Lou Brock, yep. Jose Tartable, Danny's father. And then, of course, all of the rookie parade players.
Yeah.
Including Bob Ecker.
And I think Jim Bouton was on one as well, because that
was like the last card I got for 62.
Yeah, it had an Kansas City A on it, so I ended up having to pony up a little bit. I think that one ended up costing me about $45 or so. But so it's 2021 now. We have the technology to fix this, folks. Via Tim at Big Worms. This isn't as big of a problem as Pop-Tarts not coating the entire pastry or Reese's Peanut Butter Cups not being able to prevent their product from sticking to the paper, but it is serious. Why can't people post prices when they sell cards? It's ridiculous.
Because they don't want to sell cards. They want people to give them valuation so that they know what to price it at later.
Hey, Dad, you're in a antique store, the one that we almost bought here locally. I mean, imagine that, going in there tomorrow morning and you're going there to shop. All your stuff
for price.
All your stuff in there, you ask cashier for price. I mean, everything in that store has a price tag on it, right?
Yes.
Okay, we got Thanksgiving tomorrow, right? You go in there to buy your turkey and your stuffing, and some people are blasphemous and buy the macaroni and cheese, but hey, whatever, okay. You got your potatoes and your gravy and your cranberries, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and you have no idea what you're putting in your cart. How much is my turkey? Don't know, because, Safeway decided not to put, how much per pound. Come on. Everybody puts it. If you want to sell something, put a price on it. Literally. Either people are doing that because they legitimately don't know the price, most likely because they didn't take their time to do their homework, most likely out of laziness, unless it's a low-numbered parallel or absolutely brand new, first day off the line kind of a thing, and, don't know what it's going for yet. Okay, I can get a little bit of room there. But really, what it comes down to is that they're trying to price gouge someone into overpaying. Hey, I'll
maybe
that new, Steph posts a card. Hey, what's this worth? DM me for price. Ben says, hey, I'll give you $20 for it, not realizing it's a $10 card. Steph perhaps knows and sells it to me. But this is why that whole deal or no deal crap on Facebook is such BS. It's like, know the worth of your card, put a price on it. Even if it's a stupid price, it's yours. You want to put a stupid price on it that's way over market, cool. You're probably not going to sell it, but just put it on there. I want $100. Okay, well, that's a $1 card. It's yours. I don't have to buy it from you, and odds are you're not going to sell it. But at least tell me you want $100 for it so I can say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and pass this one by. How many times have we seen stupid prices if you're on Facebook in these groups where people are trying to get all kinds of hundreds of dollars for cards you can get on sport lots all day long for 18 cents? Hey,
Well, I mean, I personally avoid Facebook, and as our New York commenter adds, if cards aren't priced, I don't ask and move on.
yeah, I mean, it's got to be something like serious, like I really got to want it. Or it's got to be something like, I mean, how many times are you tagged in something and you see somebody, hey, I just pulled this out of a box. And it's not necessarily for sale. That's not why the person was posting it. And then somebody will say, hey, is that available? Yeah, it is. Okay, then now there's some negotiation there. But if you're posting it, this is for sale. We have the technology. Post a price. Speaking of having technology, too, we have the technology to fix this. Via Facebook, can we stop with the crotch shots in the car? You go to your local card shop, you go to your retail outlet, cool. You pull something neat, nice. Put it in front of the steering wheel and snap a picture like that. I don't need to see, like this dude pulls a kaboom, and he's all excited about it. And his crotch is, hold it up just a little bit more and let me see your steering wheel. It's not going to identify your car. There's no license plate or VIN number. But I don't have to look at your crotch. And my God, if you're going to open up product in your car, if you can't wait to get home, toss some penny sleeves and some top loaders in the glove box.
They're an Angelo's purse.
Cool. I'm good with that too. That's very efficient, But how many times do you see these, not just with the crotch in it, but you see them holding it, especially with the corners up against a hand. And it's like, you're probably going to try to sell this and you're dinging the damn corner because you just can't wait to put this on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter.
See, you know what I blame? I opened the Ruth in Dad's Chrysler Sabian convertible, and I'm still chasing that infamous car shot. But even then, why there goes that button? If you notice, my pinned tweet is not of my crotch. I took a picture of it in the box. Like, that's the box. That's
I'm good
the
with
car.
that.
Do you see my crotch? There's no crotch here.
Yeah, just stop. Yes.
We need a pack perverts, but for that.
Put it on your passenger seat if you're sitting alone. Just do something not in front of your waist. Okay? We just don't need to see that. We have the technology. So, something new. Is this another garbage repack via BB Card Junkie? Was at the Dollar Tree. Collector found these repacks at a Dollar Tree. Three bros and a card store, whatever that is, has these out in the wild. There is a website. Three Bros website looks very something I would put together. Not very professionally done, but hey, not everybody's a web designer. There's 10 cards. It labels them as modern and vintage. Somebody responded to the tweet saying this guy basically opened them and said it was all 87 through 91 tops and Fleer garbage. So
with pictures,
I don't know how they got these in Dollar Tree, but come on. We can stop with the repack stuff by now. It's just somebody else's garbage is not necessarily going to be your treasure. If you're after that stuff so bad, just go on Sport Lots and buy whatever you want.
This is the one I was looking for. Somebody bought 5 packs from the right side of a fresh box. And as my internet takes forever to load, so 90 tops, 91 tops, 91 tops, 91, 91, 91. Yeah, so 91 tops. Looks like it cuts off. There's 281 Donruss, 581 tops. Stacked 5 high, 2, 5, 10 across. You're looking at like 70% of that being 91 tops.
So for $5, this is a great way for you to start your Rob Dibble super collection. If you are out there and you did buy any of this and you pulled something at least worth the cost of $1, $1 or more out of a pack of these, let Steph or I know. We'd love to see what came out of one of these.
Chris Harris would argue that Biff Roberts are worth something.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right?
But that's a thing.
Yeah. So speaking of garbage cards, were 96 and 97 Fleer some of the worst ever via Junkie Wax, not to be confused with you, Steph. No, Junkie Wax. Someone threw 95 Fleer into the same mix. Possibly the worst multi-year run by a manufacturer. One comment said that these cards were specifically designed for in-person autos, so perhaps that's the... I mean, they just...
I personally love them. I love the almost cotton-like feel to them, felt feel to them. As people have mentioned, they're perfect for autographs, either in the stadium or through the mail. Yeah, no, I can't get enough of these two. Now, I do absolutely agree. 95 Fleer may be the worst designed card set ever. It's just absolutely fugly. There's not many cards that are worth it out of it. It's each division has its own motif going on. It's just not. It's not a nice looking set at all.
Now, 95 is the year after the strike. Is it possible that Flair might have been experiencing some revenue issues over the next couple of years and just...
I mean, they were out briefly after 97, 98. No, not, somewhere in there. Only to return shortly afterwards. It's just... It's a lazy, ugly, nasty set.
Yeah. Interesting to know, with the revenue issues, maybe it was something where they just cheaped out on everything. And so no Project 70 this week. I know you guys discussed some of the recent issues last week when I wasn't on with some of the different IP stuff and whatnot. There's been IP issues, blatant stolen artwork. You have artists missing in action, quitting the project. They did introduce a new artist now, so there's that. Adding new artists at the 70% mark of the program probably isn't the best way to show success. Is it time to pull the plug? 700 cards is enough. Do we really need to see this thing to the finish line?
But see, then you'd have someone two things of issue here. Then you'd have someone claim, well, when you had launched it, you said there would be 1,000 cards, and I budgeted out exactly enough money for 1,000 cards, and now I can't have them. But two, because somebody would do that. But two, wasn't there a promise that if you collected all 20 of an individual artist or a player or whatnot, so that you get a parallel one of whatever gold version?
So they did announce with I think the artist's name is Skeet One, who took over for Action Bronson. Apparently you'll get something special at the end if you collect all of the cards in the run, regardless of how many it is. So if he ends up making 6 cards and you get all 6, you'll get whatever it is. So
I've just hit. Got it.
So
Dad, if you buy Snoop Dogg's 1, hi Joel, you'll get a parallel thereof.
That's what they're saying, unless I misunderstood what.
Interesting.
I know that. Yeah. Dad, very gifted artist growing up. We have great paintings around the house, things that you did in your younger days as an artist. I know you followed Project 2020 with me, bought all the Ricky Hendersons for our collection. What are your thoughts on 2020 and 70 from an artist perspective?
Each artist is so individualized. It's like, do I buy this card because I like the player or because I like the artist or it's a really good looking card? I've been very disappointed in a lot of what I've seen. It was kind of like, is this the best you can offer us for the price we have to pay, as far as the artwork goes? And there's some of the stuff that's just phenomenal. It's just like, wow, that's really good stuff. But to me, across the board, it's very inconsistent. There's the good, bad, and the ugly. So,
Yeah. And the price point is cost prohibitive for you. You and I had that conversation about collecting all of Alex Pardee stuff after he was a couple of cards in, and we talked about that over the course of a dinner one night. Go back and get the Acuna, which was around $85 at the time, and I think to get everything, it would have cost us about $200 to catch up. And it just, it was a good conversation while we're sitting eating dinner, and as soon as we left the restaurant, that was the end of the conversation. And I think at the end of the day, it's cost prohibitive. It's so tiring. And then they're pulling all this rap where 2 cards a day, no cards. And from what I understand, they took the Thanksgiving week off last year with the Project 2020, but it's really bad optics doing it now after all of the other issues that they've had.
Right.
So a little bit of a negative. We see so much scamming and different things that go on. Steph, if you want to get the tweet up, can we please be adults? Another hobby scam, and a childish one at that. Guy named Noah at Schlamwow, SCHLAM wow, Schlamwow, posted just, come on. It's like, just don't be a knucklehead. This was one of those ones where I read it twice. Yeah.
Recently dealt with bullies in the hobby that is unacceptable and saddens me. They didn't get their way, so they degraded the value of my item on eBay by making a fraudulent comp using my own picture. First picture is my listing. Second is picture of the fake listing. So, Lafreniere, Allure, short print, pink leopard, auto. 2 bits, 330, 3 days remaining. Second picture is George Brown with a
coined picture of the same card.
The post-it note is what I was looking for. The 227 sold from Canada, best offer accepted, quote unquote. But for the quotes here. So Tuesday night I pulled the pink auto, reached out to somebody seeing what he was doing with the rainbow and was looking for it. I tried to work out a deal, but didn't seem to add value. Listed on eBay after a few hours for a response from him. I did admit I did post it before completely ensuring that we wouldn't have a deal, but I thought it was my best interest to list it and see where it goes in value. He could still win it through bidding on it. Following afternoon, I look up the non-SP, non-auto comps to see what value I could be looking at. To my surprise, I saw my exact card already sold by A. George Brown. Looking at the photo used, I saw that the listing used my exact photo, as you can see in the photo below, and there's some direct comparisons between. It looks like they just photo imposed that card image onto a black background. Convenient. A friend pointed out, as seen in the photo, that the listing went up at 7:08 a.m. and somehow miraculously sold at 7:12. Got to be a record. Digging into this, the seller, George Brown, aka username here, aka Twitter username here, was the one who posted the listing. Usernames all matched up. I wonder why his original account was suspended. Now, for the buyer of this fake listing, as you can see, the profile that bid first was username here. Username here said he did bid first, and tracing it through Reddit, you can see Reddit, Twitter, eBay, everything. Did bid seeing that you can see they are the same person. More bullying took place on my Reddit post. I bid 325. Won't be bidding again. Don't forget, you lose 12.5% in eBay fees and even more in sales tax. Summary of an account. Reddit post. Trading on ePack is so frustrating, especially with the achievements. Values are inflated and people make you pay in blood if they even answer you. Can be super frustrating. can speak to EPAC. Some of it is that way. However, there's some people don't want to trade, don't want to bother with that. So they have no obligation to mandate that they check your trades or your best offers or whatnots. I see what you're saying. Somebody offered me a gold game day material. I'm assuming that's what GM stands for. Card for one of my $70 cards, and I'm not feeling it. More cards to sift through to a deal on EPAC. Take a look at your collection. Honestly, get pretty high trade volume because the cards I want pretty worthless, etc., etc. As a Ranger fan, wow, treat myself to a box of Allura and OPG Platinum. Did pretty well. Guess I should become a Rangers fan. Probably not. Planning out at 110%, dropping for a few weeks already. Not having the best season. I called eBay to report the fraudulent listing. While listening to the lady, she confirmed with me that the buyer was who bought the fake card from his good old buddy. So you can see they didn't get what they wanted and decided to take matters into their own hand to get the card for what they wanted to pay for it. And I fear that is too late and may be my case. Essentially, all in all, what they did was created a listing, had it sell almost immediately. And it's convenient that now this person can point to say, well, it's comparable to this one. Look at it. Well, it's the same one. It should be comparable. And to what Ben's getting to on the apology, it's currently been deleted, but essentially it goes like, hey, I admit to this. You guys can call me scammers, you can call me fraudulent. I'm sorry, this is a huge mistake on my part. I won't do it again, blah blah blah. But his account's currently blocked and not blocked, but it's currently in a locked status where you can't see any of the comments unless you're previously following them and not banned by them. So take that as you will.
They got their feelings hurt because this guy had a card that he wouldn't sell to them at their price or wouldn't sell to guy number one. So he got his buddy involved. They stole the picture, created a false comp. Doesn't even get into the whole argument of comps, which is irrelevant. But I mean, it's relevant here, but without getting too sidetracked. This dude, Jordan, I'm not even going to read his Twitter handle, responded with a half-assed apology. Hey, I got caught. Sorry, block me. Don't block me. I'll learn from this. It's like, dude, you're now a self-proclaimed scammer, my man. Just be a friggin' adult, man. If you want the card that bad, either pony up for it. There's a card right now on eBay that I absolutely want because it would complete. I'm missing 2 cards of McGuire's for the gold label runs of all of the different colors. I need the class 2 blue out of 50. One guy has it for $45. Or best offer at auction, which means it has to go above that. And I'm like, dude, this is maybe a $15 card at auction. I'll give you $20. He's like, nah. Hey, it's his card. He can keep it at all he wants. And until another one comes up, that's what you would have to pay to get this card. But I told him, I said, hey, you have a standing offer. If you ever change your mind, please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to give you 20, maybe $25 just to mark it off the list, add it to my binder. It's not a $45 card, but it's his. But I'm not going to steal the comp and just be an adult. We're running a little short on time. There was a couple more things I wanted to get to. At Card Porn, PRN, no O in that. If you want to check out their timeline, speaking of scamming, this one is outright counterfeiting. They posted 20 boxes. I believe they meant 20 pallets of Pokemon cards. Each pallet has tons of boxes. Apparently, these are counterfeit, and they were seized by customs.
Good.
Yeah, can't be the first time. Probably won't be the last. Check out at CARDPRN if you want to check out the video of it. It is in another language. I don't know if it's Korean or Japanese. I do apologize.
I believe it's Japanese.
But you can definitely check that out if you're interested. Real quick, pivot to young Major League Baseball players and long-term contracts. Wander Franco and the Rays have agreed to a long-term contract. Rumored or 12 years, $182 million. Though it'd be escalators, taking it to $223 million through the year 2033 and his age 32 season. He'll be a free agent at the age of 33 if this doesn't get extended in the meantime. We've seen this with the Braves and Acuna and Albies, the Padres with Tatis. Some other players have signed long-term contracts well before free agency. Does this affect the players' card market, knowing the future is secured with one team?
I mean, I would say a little bit in that, unlike an Oakland A, they're actually going to be around for 10 years, presumably. I think there are a couple opt-out areas, and they can always be traded, or decide to go to Kyiv or Japan, wherever. But I do think that it influences their collectability, for sure. I mean, how could it not? And also interesting, 2 years after Wander Franco's contract runs out, Bobby Bonilla will finally receive his final paycheck. And sorry, Booby, but that joke does not age out, unlike the length of that contract.
That was a great side note, but yeah, I agree. I definitely think it affects the memorabilia market. You can go to the Tampa Bay Rays team shop this year knowing well and good that Wander Franco should be around for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he can always be traded, but like you said, unlike the Oakland A's, I'm not buying a whole bunch of – I mean, I've done it with cards, but hard to go buy a jersey of Matt Olson, Matt Chapman when they're 25, 26, not knowing if they're going to sign that long-term deal.
You mean you don't have Jason Giambi jerseys?
Whoops, there's another one, right? Just real quick before we wrap things up, staying on the topic of Wander Franco with 2022 holding his true rookie cards and XRCs, as we previously mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
How bad will the print runs be? Your good friend, my friend Eric at those back pages suggested we'll see a massive increase. And then he also says, but hey, don't come at him saying that we're in junk wax era 2.0. Yeah, I disagree with that sentiment wholeheartedly. In my opinion, when a manufacturer prints to demand, it's only a healthy market if it's sustainable. And I don't think 5 years from now, when Fanatics is in charge, people are going to be clamoring for not the Wander Francos of the world, but all of the other stuff that has to come with it. Because as much of Wander you make, you've got to create the other cards on the checklist too in mass.
I mean, you don't have to. You can have just sheets of him. In theory. No, I mean, I definitely think that we're trending towards printing more and more and more. I don't think anybody would, but at the same time, I don't know that we're at true quote unquote junk wax era. I mean, there's not 4 trillion of each individual card.
Way past it.
Are there though?
Way past it, Steph.
Not in a single release.
Doesn't matter. It's spread out. So now you're creating that false market, that false scarcity.
Release. Like his.
But you only had 4 back then. Now you've got umpteen million of you got
Series 1, Series 2 update. Those are the only 3 that count.
No, come on. So this is a to be continued in season 8 of About the Cards around 2026. We'll go back and argue who was right and who was wrong. Were we in a junk wax era? Are we currently? We can look back. Much like you can't analyze what a president of the United States did until 20 years have passed, and we can go back and look. We'll know in about 5 years how bad or not bad and how sustainable this market was. So, guys, let's get out of here pretty quick. I'm going to scroll down and see if there's anything else.
A minor update.
Sure.
Work whatnots. With it being Black Friday tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, it's almost midnight. We did post a Black Friday and Cyber Monday for the buyers update. Essentially, there are a couple deals that we have going on. Everybody. The good majority of sellers have different price ranges that they're discounting off their inventory. If you pick up or you request a shipment of 100 items, not necessarily that they were bought between that time frame, but a shipment of 100 items between Friday and Tuesday, you'll see $5 off shipping. So essentially the cost of the economy shipping, or if you choose to pay for the per item costs, you can get economy rushed. So there's that. Included in the same shipment, only purchased items, so you can't have something that you sent us have be returned to you, and it must be placed between that timestamp between November 26th and November 30th. Does include cards that you buy off ePack, so there's that. There is also another shipping credit if you make a purchase between the 26th and the 29th. So $5 will be applied somewhere between January 1st and prior to January 1st, wherein you can get $5 off for a shipment between January 1st and March 31st. Like I said, the sellers are having promos. I myself have 25% off, 30% off starting tomorrow, and I think 35% on Monday. But in addition, and it should have been a huger note on here, as of this post, we are set to announce that we are completely caught up on our shipping backlog. We have nothing past due. We are currently working on everything that's due now and everything that will be due in the future. There is nothing past due in our catalog. So I know it's been a while. Everybody's had fair and legitimate complaints, maybe, but we're caught up and ready to take your order.
Good for you. So, hey, check out ComC.com for Black Friday sales and deals. If you are selling on ComC and you're running a promotion like Steph and his 25% off, why don't you hit About the Cards on Twitter and we will retweet. Let us know who you are and where we can find you on the ComC. Maybe
also,
even
probably some prizes to be given away on social media. So stay tuned to those.
Look at that. Look at that. Good job, ComC, for catching up. So yeah, hit us up. Let us know where we can find you and kind of what you're, hey, I'm Ben and I'm selling a bunch of vintage baseball cards on ComC and it's 20% off, and we'll retweet that out. That way people can go check you out if you got what they might be in the market for. Before we get out of here, I just wanted to say personal quick thank you to everyone who has reached out to me via social media or directly to check in on my health. I can't thank everyone enough for their kind words and concern. For those of you that may not be on social media but listen, I did suffer a stroke last Tuesday, and I was in the hospital, and I've had some follow-up medical issues as well. Not 100%, not near 100%. I want to thank James Kikowski at Philly Puck Fan, Andrew Renault at Bayside Breakers for hopping on with Steph and Jeffrey Zelski last week, who was our scheduled guest. Appreciate James and Andrew for hopping on at super last minute. This was not obviously in the cards, pun intended, but I appreciate everybody. You have no idea what that means to me. And when we're talking about what your hobby thankful for, my Twitter timeline and DMs and my cell phone blew up with people that I've met through the hobby, expressing concern and get well and prayers and condolences and well wishes and, get well soons. And again, I mean, you want to talk about a humbling experience, scary from the personal aspect, but humbling. Everybody that reached out, I cannot thank you enough. And again, if you've had an opportunity to, Mark Wilkins bought one of my copies of one of my books. I want to thank Mark for that. Anybody else who picks one up, it's not.
I do believe Sue's also bought one.
Yeah, Sue's bought one. She said she's got it in her queue. It's a little down because she's got a lot of books ahead. But just the support, I mean, it's amazing to have friends and family. And I consider everybody that listens to our show family. Obviously, Steph, you're my brother for life. And hey, happy Thanksgiving from About the Cards.
Absolutely. So, and if you're in the California area, Tim's shop is opening on Friday. Grand opening, did have their first box broken by a customer. It was actually somebody that they were having to do some labor work. He exchanged it for a box and pulled a Trevor Lawrence, I believe. Trevor Lawrence?
No, Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert,
Yeah.
number to 25 auto. So congrats. And hopefully they have a huge grand show. If you guys go see Shep, shoot us a picture and let us know how you thought his shop is running. And we'll have him on here shortly to discuss that as well.
Yeah, follow True Sports Cards on Twitter. It's a newer account, obviously. The if you are in Northern California, it'll be opening up in the Stanford Ranch area of Roseville, California. So, anything else before we get out of here?
Well, I want to thank both of you for inviting me to be part of this podcast, and I thoroughly enjoy it for years now that I've been able to see this and be part of it as a listener. I think what you guys are doing for the baseball card collecting industry, well, all trading cards, is just absolutely a fabulous thing. I hope you keep it going for years and years to come, because I think it's really a positive, helpful thing for collectors of all kinds. So I appreciate you guys more than you know.
Well, and of course, we would love to have you back on to continue talking about non-sports, because that's an area that not all of us truly collect. And unlike it on the record that one, no, Ben, I didn't drop you that time. And two, Sean, if you're listening, I'm sorry. It's probably pretty boring, but long time no talk. Shoot me a call someday.
I'm proud to be Ben's dad, and I am thankful to be a friend of yours, Stefan, because I think what you guys do is a really great thing. Keep it up.
We appreciate that, not just because your family, you know, it's that was not a paid endorsement. Although there's a slice of pumpkin pie for you on the counter. I mean, you paid for it, so of course you could have some.
Thank you.
No, we appreciate that, and anybody and everybody that's ever listened to our show, whether it's on YouTube or your podcast platform of choice, we appreciate it. You know, this is a labor of love. We don't get paid for this. We try to be as informative, and we can't thank everybody enough that has contributed, whether it's through mail days or information tweets. You tag us on something. Hey, have you guys seen this? We've learned so much. I've learned so much. It's just been an absolute amazing run. And, you know, as long as Steph's in it, I'm in it. We'll do this as long as we can. And if we get another 3, 4, 5 years out of this, awesome. And, we can't thank everybody enough. Just real quick, too, while we're on it. Next week, Matt Schwartz, Forensic Card Grading CEO, will be on, along with Andrew Renault of Bayside Breakers. We're still working on something for December 8th. Perhaps Shep will come on. We're not 100% certain. And then we've got Chris McGill with House of Jordans and Card Ladder on December 15th. Dewey Lund, Dirty Deeds 529 on December 22nd. Dub Mentality, Joey Shiver for 12/29 to round out the year. And then the first episode of the new year, Jeff Soxie, who was supposed to be on tonight, and he had to cancel due to some personal obligations. So we'll tweet that out. If you have any questions for Matt Schwartz, grading card CEO, more of an upstart right now, let us know, and we'll see if we can get those on for you next week. So remember, we're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on YouTube.
10 Central.
Make sure to subscribe and review our show on all platforms. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at About the Cards. You can find Steph at
Junkwax Twins.
You can follow me at Our Trading Cards. My dad does have a Twitter account, ToyFan53, although he's never on. Again, happy Thanksgiving from About the Cards. Have a happy holidays. Safe travels if you're traveling, both to and from your destination. Remember to please share your hobby stories, great polls, and send your questions our way. Keep collecting.
And we will see you next week.